Hey, hello everybody, and welcome to another Arkham Horror List video. This week, Bryn and I are here to talk about what we think are the best investigators or cards that you can play to have a handle on the Circle Undone. In the Circle Undone, there is a lot of brain challenges, there's a lot of enemies that you either, that are annoying to kill or, over time, they scale to not. You don't want to kill them. And then there's a bunch of other things that we're going to help you just tech out as spoiler-free as possible. We're going to talk about some vague spoilers as we go, but nothing in actual direct this is what this does. As we list some that we have here today. We have a big list for Circle Undone. So I'm going to pass this to Bryn for the first one, which are investigators with a high brain. Why is that really good, Bryn?
So I play a lot of green. I've played green characters mostly through this campaign, and there's a lot of out of the core set, Frozen in Fear. You know how bad that one is when you can't get rid of it. There's more cards like that.
Yeah.
And they are worse. At least Frozen in Fear, you know what you're getting into. Some of these other ones are. Kind of wild.
Yeah.
So you definitely want to be able to beat a brain test. And if you can leverage that high brain number into something else by maybe being purple, more power to you.
Yeah, so all of our examples here, they just have 5 brain. Nice and simple. That is a high brain number. I would say probably the highest printed on a card so far.
I hope it's the highest they ever print.
I hope so. If there's ever a 6... I don't know. I'm gonna worry.
With a crippling downside.
Yeah, I'm gonna worry about what. I mean, unless it's for the all 6 Charlie Kane Vampire Hunter, I don't want to see it. There is a lot of discourse you can see online where there's people that say you need a high brain in the Circle Undone. Ultimately, any investigator can complete any campaign. However, it is true that if you have higher brain in the Circle Undone, you're going to feel some of the things less because there are a lot of brain tests in the Circle Undone, and some of them are pretty important. And as Bryn said, if you have a low brain, you could potentially just get crippled by a card that comes and punches you in the face a few times.
Yeah.
Yeah. On that note, the rogues do have something in their favor, and that is if you're getting an investigator who is good at evading. So Finn only has 1 brain. Rita has 3, but she's special. And Trish has 2 brain. They can still get away in other things. So a mechanic to kind of balance out the fact that Green aren't going to be able to get rid of a lot of these things that they have in front of them because their brains are so low. They can do it for free if there is an evaded enemy at their locations. So luckily, that's something that these people all do. Rita Young, she also gets another shout out here. She is, it's kind of like the Forgotten Age where she's not gonna bust the thing wide open, but she is very good and very efficient at evading enemies or moving around the board. And her brain score also is not that bad, especially if you have a Pete Sylvester in play. Trish as well gets another shout out here because there are some aloof enemies in this one that are just going to hang out and they're just going to have a good time, and Trish's ability can just feed off of that, meaning you either get more clues or alternatively you get to evade enemies while you're grabbing clues. This is really good because there is a certain enemy that's going to show up a bunch of times, and there's going to be moments where it's inefficient to kill it, and Trish says, hell no, I will just evade it instead. So that also then works why these other guys are also good and at this one for evading, because sometimes it's just the right choice in this campaign.
Yeah, Trish has another extra point that we'll touch on in a little bit more detail later, but there is a mechanic that punishes you for failing an investigation action. And Trish has a lot of options for cards that can just pick up clues without said action.
Yes. Yeah, so, and that's on that.
That is also quite powerful.
Yeah, and we're gonna get on this again in the future. But one thing that actually, this is probably one of the worst one for the traditional fail survivor style for investigating that we're going to touch on again later on as we get up here. So next one, Bryn, I'll throw this one to you, which is investigators that can manipulate the Mythos deck.
All right. So without getting too in-depth as to why this is good, because I'm not sure I can do that without telling you what the cards are or what they do. There are many of them that care about you seeing all 3 copies of them in the deck, and then they'll do something really bad to you once you've found the 3rd one. And if you can manipulate the Mythos deck, you can make it pretty easy that like you see 2 of them, but one of them gets shuffled back into the deck because it's been ward of protection or whatever. You've found a way to make it not matter so much.
Mm-hmm. Gloria here is our only investigator example on this one because she's the only one who can do it by like printed on her card. Someone like Diana is also really good. Like all of her Mythos deck control is really nice. But Gloria just has the ability to just look like when she can look at it and then just get rid of one of those cards, which kind of just like cripples the deck. Like that card is just like Gloria's like, no worries, it's done. So she can be very strong in the Circle Undone. This carries over. Alter Fate, once again, very good here because it can help Bryn when he's playing a rogue investigator and is stuck in a realm of torment. It can get rid of another very punishing Mythos card called the Fate of All Fools. And just that getting rid of a treachery that's in play. This one has a lot of treacheries that stay in players' threat areas for a very long time. This even actually, like, we're not talking about the return to, and the Circle Undone has a very interesting return to where it kind of like changes the game a little bit. Like now foot is a little bit more important. However, there is still a lot, just Alter Fate hits on all of those notes, both return to and the basic. It's really strong for a card. Otherworld Codex, this one's another one. It's a little bit of a gamble, but because, once again, that there are these cards stay in play, and there's some that like gets put like in players' threat areas you want to get rid of. Cards that are like, I'm not sure if you can get rid of the ones that are set aside because it's probably still in play. It's just like next to the act. Someone with more immediate game knowledge will answer me in the YouTube comments, probably. But this is another option for that. Eye of Truth. Some of them require... This can help your rogues out who have their low brain, and also like some of them, I believe they care about if you pass it, if you get the things in the set aside, so another good option. And then Fool Me Once again, kind of just carries over that exact same mindset, where this helps you deal with these things that shows up in multiples, which are very popular in this campaign. Next one here, we have investigators that have built-in support for other investigators. So this one sounds kind of like, yeah, these guys generally work in every campaign. However, the horror healing that Carolyn Fern can provide and the additional skill bonus that Minty Fan can provide, can sometimes mean a huge pass or a huge, just turning like what would have been a bad moment into a pass for an investigator, because if she commits an unexpected courage to someone's test, they get +3 brain, for example, and then they actually pass that test and everyone claps and says, yay, man. Likewise with Carolyn, she can kind of negate a lot of the downside that will come with the haunted mechanic, which is losing resources, taking horror. We're going to get to that on its own thing there, but she kind of fits into that world as well, where she's just really good at mitigating the small pieces of damage that this is going to give, while also having a pretty alright brain score and a few and the biggest pool of cards to build, so you can really build a really nice support with Carolyn Fern.
Yeah. Yeah, she can play several of the cards that will allow you to manipulate treachery cards.
Yeah.
Because of the pool that she has access to. Mm-hmm. But she also kind of fits into that enemies that you might want to evade or you don't want to kill. Because you can just heal the person who's tanking the damage.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which is kind of handy.
Just be like, you're going to win the fight before it kills you, I promise.
Yeah,
just keep
don't worry
going
about it. It's good.
Yeah.
The best way out is through.
Hell yeah. Man, that should be her freaking flavor text. That should be someone's freaking flavor text. All right, Bryn, we have Kelvin Wright next.
Yeah, so Calvin gets to mitigate a lot of the downsides that exist in this campaign by just kind of being like damage. I got that. Like, no problem. And he gets to play spirits, which means that he gets to play a lot of the cards that allow you to manipulate treachery cards, because many of them are spirits, such as Ward of Protection. And yeah, there is one scenario in particular where Calvin Wright is like, I am, God King.
Yeah.
Calvin, this is me. Haster who?
Yeah.
I'm better than him.
Yeah, and then like the downsides of things like investigating and stuff like that, the haunted thing, which we've been teasing the whole time. If you don't know, because you've never played this one and you want to know what you're just going to go in and try to know a little bit of intel. The haunted mechanic is that if you fail and investigate, the haunted thing triggers. It's like retaliate and alert for investigation, and I'm honestly like both happy and sad that it hasn't been brought back, because happy because it sucks and sad because it's like actually good, like it's a good mechanic for the game. And then Kelvin Wright can actually like use the look what I found and then like take a horror and be like, oh no. Oh shucks.
Yeah, you can just eat the damage off of a lot of cards.
Yeah.
And just be like, oh no, my numbers are better. Or oh no, I played a whole bunch of soak and healing in my deck because otherwise I will die.
Yeah. Sick. All right. Next thing we got here is Luke Robinson, or investigators who can travel across the map. So this has Luke Robinson gets a little special note before we get into the travel across the map thing, because there are a lot of hunter enemies in this scenario that can kind of like they'll punch your face in, like in this whole campaign. And Luke Robinson has this neat little exploit where after the hunter enemies move to your location and engage you, assuming there's no one else there, you can just get into your gate box and go away. This is really nice because you can cheese a certain enemy that's going to show up a few times. But in addition, the maps are really big. And they also, well, they're not edge of the earth big. Like, they're big pre-edge of the earth and Innsmouth Conspiracy. Like, they have like a lot of different paths that you can take. And being able to jump to certain points because it will demand that is really helpful. For example, there is a certain scenario which is going to require you to play Pandemic. And being able to go where you need to go can be really helpful. The other one here is that lets other people do this is Open Gate. You play this on a few key locations and it'll allow easy movement. This is also especially good in actually a good chunk of the scenarios require you to be moving across the map. Like I'm thinking like scenario 2, the scenario 4, Wages of Sin, where you have to bring certain little ghosts around the map. When you're in the scenario, like when you're in the lodge, like that's another one that requires movement. The final one requires Open Gate can actually like provide good flow points for this campaign.
I hate this card so much, but like it is good in this campaign.
I still love that when we did our mono purple, we said we were going to run it, and you and I started siding them out, but Travis didn't.
That was kind of fun.
That was funny, yeah.
Yeah.
All right, Bryn, we've been talking about this for a while. What's so big about this one?
All right, so we have been talking about not wanting to fail investigation actions because many locations have the haunted ability and will punish you for doing so in different ways. So we're looking at investigators who just won't fail the investigation action with like minimal cost because they got 5 book. You don't need to get too much bigger than that. Throw in a magnifying glass and you're laughing your way to the bank. The clue bank, that is.
Yeah, not the resource bank. But that's where Dr. Milan's for. He helps you get to that bank.
Yeah, Dr. Milan and a crack the case.
Yeah.
You're laughing your way to that bank too.
Yeah.
But these guys don't have to suffer haunted effects hardly ever. And you don't actually have to put any real work into it. You're kind of just like playing cards that you want to play anyway.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much just it.
Of note that both these guys also have big brain, which
they do.
That's why we chose them for this one, because their brain is also pretty dang big.
I love how Norman has 2 punch instead of 2 foot.
Yeah, like, what do you think? What do you think the difference between, like, because that's like the difference between these two men essentially, because they're the same guy. Like, they're the
pretty
same
much
guy.
the same guy.
Yeah. Just Norman.
Yeah.
He's a bit more feisty. He got in a few more brawls.
If you disagree with Norman's theories, he'll punch you.
Hell, yeah.
Yeah.
All right, and then as always, we end with the classic: just play a busted investigator. You'll probably notice that Mandy fits that one we were just talking about. She has 5 book. She won't fail. She also can, like, do things. Mandy's just busted, okay? She's just busted. Stella Clark, while she is admittedly weaker in this campaign because failing sucks a little bit more.
Yeah, you can't just punt investigation actions to fail a test.
Yeah.
Without a consequence.
Because that's the easy thing to do. You just chuck yourself into an investigator and be like, oh no. But now you're like, oh no.
Yeah.
Granny Oren's dead. Yeah.
She does have the flip side of, like, rain nor snow is not broken, but, like, real good here.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
Because there are a lot of treachery cards that will hurt you very hard for failing, and you can just be like, "What's your score? Doesn't matter. Never mind. Let's go."
Yeah, you basically have 100 brain. Let's just keep going.
Yeah. Imagine your brain was 6,000 right now.
Yeah, keep going. I want to play my turn. Just do it. And then on her turn, she just brings back all of her neither rain nor snows. Yeah. Then we also got Rex, another one who's just busted. He needs something, like, with a higher education especially, like, this scenario, he'll laugh his way through this whole thing. He also has 3 foot, which is not, like, a bad number by any means.
No, it is not.
Yeah. Sweet. Huge thank you to everyone for watching this video. Hope you enjoyed it. We will be doing Dream Eaters and Innsmouth coming up in the near future, but we might try to do a different list video coming up next week. If you have any suggestions for what you want to see, or you want to see Bryn and I list, please let me know in the comments. Also, there's other investigators that you think were good for you for the Circle Undone. Always let us know in the comments down below. Huge thank you to this week's patron, Chris is my middle name, for your contribution to this list. Patrice Hathaway, she does hit all those things. She has good brain. She can access Alter Fate, and she also can play Open Gate, which are really minimal and easy for her to get out. I do think as well Patrice can do that because she's going to be investigating with her brain, which means she's probably not going to be failing anyway, so she hits a few of our boxes. She came out in Dream Eaters. I always mix up the Dream Eaters and Circle Undone boxes because Preston came out in the Circle Undone, right?
Yes, sir.
What a rough time to be Preston.
So did Diana Stanley.
Yes, she did, yeah.
Because they are Silver Twilight.
It's true. They
affiliated.
Are,
yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for watching, everybody. Have a good one. We'll see you next week for another list video. And also, if you're watching this on March 31st, tomorrow, we have our April Fool's Day video coming up. So, buckle up for that. I just remembered that the internet's an awful place on April Fool's Day. I hate it. But that's okay. Thank you so much for watching. Have a good one. And as always, GG's.